Hi, and welcome back to a part two of our lecture about systems administration. We last ended about systems permissions around Etsy Shadow. Now it's time to look at different issues around files and what they encompass and what they look like when you create a file and how you examine the actual file contents for what it really needs to be. Okay, so let's create our first file. We have foobar.text, foobar payload in here. And we'll create foobar.text. And again, that is just a plain old text file. Using the file command, we check what that looks like, and it's just text. If we do tar and then create the tarball, which is foobar.tar, I can type, and then grab foobar.text, it's now a tar file. And then we can look at the file command and then foobar.text, tar, and that we got that accordingly. Now, how does file look at that? Well, if you look at the cat at the foobar.tar, it's no longer the payload that you saw earlier. In fact, it's really just payload about the tar composition itself and what's in it, right? Including the file name and some information in there. So I wanted to provide that context, and if we rename it that foobar.tar to .zip, now we have foobar.zip, and it's still a tar file. Nothing changed whatsoever. So I wanted to provide that small context, and we'll remove that that file, so we don't need it anymore. And let's move on more to our package handling process. Last time we did app install Vim, and as you can see, it's already been installed for me, but we can also uninstall it. So app remove Vim, and we can uninstall the package, press yes, and using apt, it's as simple as that. Note, read before you do. Note that when you're using app install or app removals or even upgrades, you have to use sudo. But if you did a simple search, you don't need sudo because it's just searching through the caches and the indexed repositories that it grabbed previously. Search Vim, and of course Vim comes up with lots of different subtext information, and so we just want our original package back. And so we have that right here, knowing that this is exactly what we're looking for and not dependencies. So let's go ahead and apt update. And a little tip, we'll use sudo and we'll use and as our ampersand. That means anything that completes with apt update successfully, go on to the second one. So we're actually daisy chaining our commands. Apt install vim and then apt, and we'll use a -y to automatically install it without a prompt. And then we'll say apt vim -- upgrade. Actually, we'll do apt upgrade. Actually, we'll leave that there for now. Let's go ahead and just install Vim and then make sure that we're getting the latest repository information accordingly. And automatically install Vim, and then we'll make sure we have the latest up-to-date one, so we'll do an upgrade on it in a little bit. So watch as it's going through. And we have a permission denied because I didn't use sudo. So sudo, you have to do it on every one, so install vim-y. And now we have a automated installation without any kind of prompt and users. Really awesome. Let's go ahead and make sure we have our latest Vim package. We'll do app upgrade Vim. And of course, we got to still use sudo and already on the latest and greatest without anything else because we just installed it. We'll do a which Vim to say, hey, it's pointing there. And I'm going to show you something really interesting. If I did an ls/lah, because anything I type with Vim, it's automatically going to point me here, which looks like a binary. And really, it's actually a symlink. So it seemed like it's showing me that arrow right there, and then I can go File, and that symlink is basically the same as a shortcut for Windows. So if you look at Windows, we'll bring it on over here. We have shortcuts. If I create a shortcut here, and notice that it's just not it just points to something. It's not an actual file. This shortcut has a .link, and it points to a target, and it's a .link type of format. It's very similar to a symbolic link, aka shortcut, for Linux. Now let's drill into that. What's the next one? Well, we'll see what the next one looks like. Is it a file? Well, only one way to find out. No, it's another symlink. Okay, let's take a look at, and it almost looks circular, right? It's going to Etsy alternatives and then back to user bin. Now we finally have our L file. That is what is actually being executed. So whenever you use the vim command, it's going through two symlinks followed by returning to the vim.basic binary load, which is quite interesting. So something to keep in mind that symlinks are just shortcuts, and that's really something all you need to know. If you want to remove it, you do a sudo apt remove vim and use whichever you wish. You can always verify it. Now, one thing I want to do is make sure that I have apt removal of a package called Wireshark that I installed previously, and it's already been removed, so perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and grab something, and this has this link here. I'm going to use a tool called wget. It's already built in. It's going to go ahead and grab and download this Debian file, which is supposedly an application package that I can use to install. Now there's something wrong when I go ahead and do a package installation. So for that, I need to use sudo dpackage-i wireshark.deb, and supposedly I should be able to install Wireshark using this Debian package. Now it's going to leave me with error processing and other issues because it can't resolve other dependencies that it needs to function. And that's what apt is there for. And if you install a package without its own dependencies built into it, it doesn't know what to do. It doesn't know how to find external dependencies. And so you've kind of broken it. So if I were to do an apt command for dpackage, I can't uninstall it. Yep. And I can clear available. I can do all kinds of stuff. But really, I've kind of broken it. So if I do an apt remove Wireshark because it was Wireshark related, it's going to tell me I need to fix broken install issues. Well, now I have to do what it says. How about I do this? Sudo apt fix broken install. And I have to type in apt correctly. Yes, it's going to install and remove all these other dependencies that it tried to resolve earlier, and apt will do that for me. So note that if you're sideloading a Debian package, it doesn't have all the dependencies, you're going to break something, and potentially break something else if you don't do it correctly. So that's the disadvantage of not using your package manager. And of course, to make sure we clean everything up, apt install remove Wireshark. And then of course it's saying, hey, you got some old packages here. So we want to use sudo apt auto remove. Press yes. So those are all the dependencies that it tried to link for me into this Debian package, which didn't go so well. And then we're going to go ahead and sudo apt remove Wireshark. Could sudo apt install Wireshark and sudo apt upgrade Wireshark. Now we have a fresh, clean installation of Wireshark without our broken dependency accordingly. We'll go ahead and create a new terminal while this is going on. I'm going to remove the Wireshark Debian file away from our desktop. So the message of the day is to use the apt package manager whenever possible. Only use the side loading if you absolutely know what you're doing and you know it's not going to break your installation. Now, while that's going on, we can go ahead and do other things besides that. And now I just complete it. We'll just use the same terminal window. We can use PSEF to capture different things. So I'll do a head and 3, and we'll capture what's being ran at any time, just like we saw last time. We can also use PS tree and show processes accordingly, and really awesome stuff in a nice little format. And if I wanted this in a text file, stop and think about, how would I do that? I'll wait. Did you get it? Redirecting file descriptor standard out, which is what number? File descriptor standard out means number 1. To do so, there's P, and we have foobar. What if I didn't want to? What if I wanted to overwrite that foobar part? Well, I would redirect it to foobar without the double caret and just use a single caret. And now we have cat foobar.text, just like if we ran it the first time. We also want to go over netstat.an, which is a way for showing connections and sockets that are open. And notice that's a lot of information. But the most important part is listening and which processes are using what sockets. And I'm listening to port 53 for some reason, and I'm potentially doing other connections. So let's look at what we have here. So we can also run it in 2 fashions. So I'm going to go ahead and use mmap. If I have mmap, perfect. Don't worry about the syntax I have here for now. I want you to take a look at what's going on. And I'm going to scan and look for version information of open ports on portquiz.net. And I'm going to look at netstat. I'm going to showcase what is being shown right here. So I'm going to grep. Actually, I'm going to head first 20 lines so we don't have an overload of stuff. Start that process now. And look at all this is being sent. We're sending a lot of data across the network, going to portquiz.net, and I'm scanning these different ports by default, and it's saying a listen state of send. Basically, it's showing my TCP connections and my connectivity attempts. You can also use many other items, but we have A for listing all sockets and N for not resolving those names to generate additional traffic on the network. You can also look at very similar stuff like ls_of, which shows you all the connections going on at any one point. So I'll do that again. And we can do ls_of. Now we can show the same exact thing. And now it's going to an Amazon hosted portquiz.net. It seems to be Amazon hosted. And it's scanning different ports and doing the resolution for me. And it's telling me who ran it, what process ID and information, and where it's going to. Very cool stuff. So I just wanted to show you where you can go for network connectivity, administration, and monitoring. Last but not least is really systems services. Now, services are interesting. Remember that services can be ran and looked for many different ways. So services are long-term running needs and administration requirements. So if I go to Task Scheduler, Task Manager, and in Windows, we have services. Services are long-lasting and running. Things that make a lot more sense when you need to have a long-lasting process that maybe an operating system depends on. To do so, we use system control status type equals service, and then we do a -- all, and then we can see everything running related to being a service. And because this is in the less format, I can control down, and obviously I can always redirect this to standard out. We have a condition failed right here, which is interesting about a sound card. So we'll have to take a look at that. And it's dead. It is no longer being active. So this is a great way to monitor what's going on and potentially issues in your system. Okay, so we know what to do when it comes for examining different aspects of particularly real-time monitoring. Top, PS, free, all these come to mind. However, let's go into our log situation here. We have lots of different logs. Logs are awesome for troubleshooting purposes and things that make a lot of sense for auditing and other issues that go with it. So if we do a tell the last 100 lines of var log syslog, var log of our log, syslog, we see a lot of different things. And it could be I'm grabbing an IP address to all kinds of great, interesting things that would be useful for me. But I really want to look for different things like warning or health issues or errors. So we have critical, and these are some key words I can think about. And so these are how I monitor for security related issues or look for particular health issues. If you made that into a script or anything else, this could be really really good stuff. And cron is for cron jobs and saying it started off and it exited out for some reason. So this is a good thing. And it had a subset search. All right, so let's think about how we can not just monitor for different log effects and artifacts in thauth logs. Of course, there's also logs within auth.log too that are worth looking at. So close the window, permission error, denied. For security purposes, you might want to grep for deny or denied or fail. And in the last 1,000 or 100 lines, I didn't have any of that. But if I did a cat for the entire log file, I have authentication failure for me not typing in my password correctly, which was indeed logged accordingly. Now let's look at something where I need to kill a process. Let's say that process is becoming very bad or is a malicious file somehow. Let's go to my desktop and PSEF. And I have whatever has open here, including what I ran was PSEF and exited. I'm going to use a command called netcat, and ncat particularly, and I'm going to listen to a particular port. Don't worry about what you see here for now. I want you to focus on the process. I'm going to use no resolution, verbose, listening, keep open port, and we're going to listen on port 8443. And then we're going to go ahead and run that. I could go to netstat to actively monitor that. Oopsie. Need the tilde. Netstat and grep I 8443. And I am indeed listening to it. This doesn't tell me about anything else. And what if I needed to do lsf -I grep I 843? And we see that we're listening, and DW Chow started a netcat process related to that. How would I go and looking for that? Well, we'll use PSEF and we'll grep for netcat. And that is what I ran. So all three of those commands were critical for me for hunting down a rogue process potentially and opening up a port that does not need to be open. What do I need to do? Well, I need to go ahead and kill it. So I'll use sudo whenever possible. I'll kill 9, which is kill 9 state, which is don't soft kill, hard kill it directly from the kernel. And we're going to go ahead and kill 9, a process ID number, which we'll use right here, which is your process ID number. If you forgot which one it is to use, here's a little tip. Go back in PSEF and then head first 3. And then we'll do grep I, and we'll say before. We'll do a head on the first 2 lines. Now we have PID versus PPID aligned over to that. So just a quick tip that would be nice to share with you. Let's go ahead and kill that process. Sudo kill 9, which means kernel kill. Process ID number, which is bad. This one. Pasted it in there. And boom, we've killed it successfully. And we've killed it at the kernel level, which we had no soft kill or recovery connection accordingly. Very cool stuff. Next, how do we run something that we need to run in terms of a reoccurring schedule job? Well, for that, we have something called cron tab L, and that shows me my cron tab, and it's the cron service. So if you do systemctl status cron d, cron, there we go. We're saying that this is a equivalent of task scheduler inside Windows. So task scheduler has all these different jobs, and by default, if you look at it, and this could be automator with a task scheduler, using cron on Macintosh, but really it's just saying, hey, at this time or every so often run some command, do something, including updates. And that's what the cron job does inside Linux. Let's take a look at how we can calculate this and do something with this. So let's go ahead and look up at a what's called a cron generator. So we'll look up a cron generator task. And this is a great way, in case you don't remember quite a bit of stuff, to say, I want for every minute, every hour of the day, every day, nonstop, to run my certain task. Well, maybe I want to run echo hello to my cron job, or maybe I want to run the date command and redirect that to my cron job instead. Sounds pretty good. Generate the cron tab line. And now we have all of this. And this basically means, hey, don't show me anything on the output, and redirect standard error and standard out into the standard output stream accordingly. We'll just copy that and we'll paste that into what's called a cron tab. A cron tab is like an editing file that you have to add a task schedule. Cron tab -e. And then we have our ability to add a line here. We'll paste that in here. And the most important thing is you have to do it by pressing enter and making sure you have the new line created. Control X, press Y to save the buffer. Now, if you did everything right, it said installing new cron tab. And within a minute or so, we can actually look at our temp file where we have our cron tab listing. So we'll look at L, and we're saved it to my cron job.txt. We'll, and then if you look at, let's go to /temp real quick. And nothing's been generated yet. We'll see what we have our date here, and then we'll sleep for 60 seconds. You can also sleep, and it'll return back. Sleep is great for making a script wait or look for a certain time or slow something down based on what you need. So we have 8 p.m. and 8 minutes and 49 seconds. So look at what we have here. And then let's see if that was enough to my cron job.txt. We'll call that because it's already been a minute, and we'll cat /temp my cron job text. Hasn't been a full minute yet. That's okay. We'll keep it going here. We'll take a look at when it actually creates a file here. So my cron job.txt still has been created. 946. Well, while that's doing that, we can also look at the different items that we showcased for Windows permissions. So while that's running, let's go ahead and look at our folder permissions. So remember we looked at chmod? So let's look at our equivalent of a secure files. We had ls/lah etc shadow, and we had nothing but really the system and the administrator looking at that. Maybe for good reason. So we'll look at our C drive and look at one of our files for access rights and permissions. I'll just pick one at random. We'll go into the security tab, and in Windows we have authenticated users, which is the group, the system, which is the equivalent of owners at the object level here, and we have the concept of administrators, which is another group. So we have groups and users still, but the system will always need access to it for the rights purposes, and administrators and authenticated users. Think of authenticated users are as nobodies or anonymous users as other, and administrators being the group owner, the middle one here. And then of course you have an owner or full control. So we have a little bit different aesthetics here and the permission modeling of Windows using discretionary access controls. So it's a little bit different in Windows, so keep that in mind. So now that we have cron tab job.txt, we still don't have it being sent above. And it's been some time here. So let's take a look at our cron tab and see what happened. Well, we have the date command. Okay, well, we'll just use echo hello world. and then take this out. Save buffer. And every minute, it should now run this. And we'll see how this works here. Date. And cat my temp .drop. And we'll see if hello world goes ahead and gets started. I'll go ahead and pause the video for now. You go ahead and try the same with some of your items and see how far you get. I'll resume when we get back to our full minute. All right, so we're back. I went on date again, and now we have my cron job with hello world, and it ran in the first minute. We can wait for it to go again, and as you can see, it'll go every minute for a long while. I'm not sure why date didn't run correctly. It was probably because we had an extra piece right here in the back, taking out the standard file description, causing an error. You can also try that out with some additional context. So you could probably put this back here with -E, and then change that to date and remove that if you really want to. However, I don't want this filling up my process, so I'm going to go ahead and delete this whole line. I suggest you do the same thing do for your cleanup. Control X, yes, enter, assign new cron tab, and then that should do it. So thanks again for part 2 of this. We'll see you in the next lecture.